So today I'm in North London, really looking forward to meeting Sadie Frost, who's going to be my next guest on My Life in Seven Charms. Sadie's led a multi-talented life, both in front of and behind the camera. From being photographed by David Bailey at the age of 2 to directing a critically acclaimed biopic on Mary Quant during lockdown, she has also made forays into fashion, film production and now yoga wear. She's a mother of 4 and a vocal ambassador for wellness, vegetarianism and meditation.
You know, I'm not prepared to be pigeonholed to kind of grow old and kind of get stuck in a certain way. It is about getting out there. And I guess, age tells you that. And also the last few years has told us, we've all learnt what makes us happy.
I'm Anushka Dukas and welcome back to My Life in Seven Charms. For me, there are so few things which can evoke a memory like a tiny, detailed charm. In this new series, I'll be meeting 7 extraordinary women and hearing their stories through this very special 18-karat gold biography. I'm delighted to welcome Sadie Frost to My Life in Seven Charms.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm really looking forward to learning all about your rather fascinating life. Let's start with charm 1, which I love the idea of this charm. It's a tiny dancer. You described it as you wanted it to look a bit like Liza Minnelli in Cabaret. So that's really exciting. So I can only see Liza Minnelli in Cabaret in a kind of hot pants halter neck, black hot pants suit, or if you like. So I'm going to make her in 3-dimensional, hat tilted on her head, and the hot pants and the halter neck are going to be in black pavé diamonds, her legs in black rhodium as if she's wearing stockings and a black seam down the back. I mean, I've got to have that, and high heels. So, and she'll be made completely in white gold where we see her body. But tell me why Liza Minnelli?
That all sounds beautiful, by the way. I love all the detail. I used to love watching musicals when I was a kid, and I wanted to be a musical performer, and I went to Italia Conti and I went to stage school, and I've just love the theatre, love going to see kind of dynamic performances. And Cabaret is so iconic, and Liza Minnelli is so fantastic in playing Sally Bowles. The funny thing is I've just seen the new stage version twice in the last 2 weeks. I was going to ask you.
I've just booked it. I'm so excited.
It is amazing with Eddie Redmayne and Jessie Buckley. And what's interesting is Sally Bowles is such a fantastic character, but when Liza Minnelli was, so definitive in that role, and then Jessie Buckley plays it, very differently, but it's still brilliant. And, it is all about that character, the stance, the kind of, she is a broken kind of woman, but she's defiant, she's strong. She kind of puts 2 fingers up at the world, and she's, a survivor. And that's kind of really attractive to watch. It's such a great character. I mean, if I'd have ever had an opportunity to be able to do it or play it, I think it would be wonderful. So, I think, Liza Minnelli, Sally Bowles, Cabaret, Life is a Cabaret, all those songs symbolise a lot for me.
And so tell me a bit more about that. So because obviously when you started your acting career very, very small, age 2 or 3, I think.
I did a TV commercial at 3-4 years old.
Who was that for?
Jelly Tots.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
And do you remember that?
I do. I can remember eating lots of Jelly Tots, and there was this scene where we had to run towards a wall of Jelly Tots falling, and I remember just eating them and the taste, and so no, I do remember it. And I remember my younger sister Sunny came along. She was tiny then. She was supposed to be in it too, but she started crying and wouldn't be in it. And I was the kind of natural performer of the family, and that's when I was just loved the attention. Just
out of interest, how did you even get to go on to TV at age 3? Tell me a bit about your mum.
So I think my mum put me on my mum was kind of in the theatre and a performer. She had me when she was 16, and we lived in London. We didn't really have very much money, and my mum was doing supporting acting roles or extra work. And she put me on to an agency, and she saw how I just loved performing and dancing and stuff. And I was on an agency and got called up for things. In those days, it helped pay the bills.
No, I get that, but it's amazing. You've never really looked back since then. And were you on Morecambe and Wise as well?
So I went to Italia Conti. I got a scholarship when I was 11. In those days, you know, your lessons were singing, dancing, tap, you know, ballet, Shakespeare, very not so much academic work. You did do, I think, a few subjects a day. I think now it would be completely different. You know, there'd be more rules and regulations. And, you know, in those kind of days, there'd be, they used to put things like there'd be a notice board. So when you came out of class and it would say, so-and-so go to the office, and you'd be going up for auditions, and there would be lists of people who would be chosen from Spotlight or something to be in different TV shows. And I just think I did quite a few. Like I did a film about a talking horse, and Tommy Still show. Yeah, but I played in the talking horse film, which was quite funny. I had the lead role, which was quite nice to have at 11 years old.
Yeah, really nice to have. So, do you think have you? I mean, did you love it, or did you feel that you were pushed into acting, or did you kind of, is that something that you naturally? I mean, did you just not like school? Or?
I definitely don't think I was pushed into it. I think I just liked it. For me, it was a form of escapism, and you know, made the world a whole lot kind of brighter and more cheerful and fun. And I love dancing. It's funny because obviously when you're younger, you dance around and you act and you do all these things. And then as you grow up, you kind of bring up children and life gets more serious, and life can be focused on paying bills and getting a job or whatever. And dance became less and less of my life, even though it's something I really enjoyed. And today I just went and I just thought I'm going to go back to dancing lessons. And I went and did a dancing lesson, and it was so much fun. You know, I think there's been a 30-year sabbatical. And that's how old my eldest son is. And it just shows you from the eldest to the youngest one just finishing school. I mean, I've just thought, okay, you know, I want to go and do it. And it was great exercise, listening to music, dancing, heart rate up. It took me out of my comfort zone. So I think when I was younger, I just, you know, it was the same kind of thing. I got the same feeling today as I did, you know, when I was a kid.
Maybe you'll get to go to Strictly.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, I love it. I think anything that kind of encourages you to get in shape is a great thing.
Oh God, you're in incredible shape. It's just as we speak, sitting cross-legged on the floor, which I'm definitely not. But just tell me a bit more about your childhood, because you're the eldest of 5 girls, aren't you?
Yeah, the eldest of 5 girls. My mum had 5 daughters, and my dad had 5 boys, as well as me and my sister. So it was a big family, and my parents from Manchester, so we kind of lived half and half. So I would be travelling between Manchester and London, depending on... Sorry, that's my sausage dog. That's Cherry,
that's
who wants to
Cherry.
be part of this little talk. Now, Cherry, pipe down.
Yeah, go on about your childhood.
Yeah, so there was a lot of brothers and sisters. It was, my mother was a performer and worked in Camden Market as well on the weekends. And my dad was an artist, psychedelic artist, and he was quite rock and roll and crazy. We lived on a bus for a while.
Well, hang on one minute. What do you mean you lived on a bus for a while?
So,
all of you?
Yeah, so me, my mum, my sister, my dad. I don't know, there probably was quite a few other hippies living on it as well. We travelled from Belsize Park to Marrakesh and to Formentera, and we just lived on a bus.
For months?
Months and months, yeah. So that would have been about when I was about 4, 5, 6, around then.
Gosh.
Yeah. So they were on the kind of hippie trail. I mean, at the time, I think it was great growing up in that kind of slightly in the wilderness and it all being a bit wild. Then I went through a stage of like, actually, when I went to Italia Conti, I wanted to conform, and like, why is my life so slightly irregular? And then actually, now, I think things have become more complicated, over-designed, and people have far too much. And I wanted to kind of go back to my roots and have, like, you know, things that matter to me are sensory, smells, you know, incense, exercise, a nice fire, nice brown rice. You know, there's things that you have that really make you happy. So when I was doing up this house, I just kind of went back to basics and wanting to feel kind of grounded and things to be really, I think it was inspired by my childhood in the 70s and this kind of earthiness. And I was talking to a friend of mine who had been married to a famous actor in Hollywood. And we both kind of said, you know, all of that stuff definitely didn't bring us any happiness. And you kind of might have had these lives where, you know, people had a driver, a chef, an assistant, or 2 assistants, 2 dishwashers, a fridge that you never know what's in, a fridge that someone else fills for you, someone else throws out the rubbish. you have a dog, but you don't walk it, and a dog walker walks it. And you have kids, and you have 2 nannies, and you don't read kids bedtime stories and bath them. So I suddenly was like, well, actually, what actually makes your life happier is when you're in control of your life and you're kind of, yes, you have people, you're in charge, but you have people helping you if you don't know how to mow a lawn.
Yeah.
But, now it's like I'm doing my gardening, pottering around. I'm kind of I get up in the morning, I look in the fridge, I go, okay, what am I going to cook today? Go to the shop. Everything's more kind of like I'm in control of my life.
Bit more grounded.
It's a grounded existence, and it brings a lot of happiness. And having, not having so much is actually
Do you think that's something that comes with age?
I think so, because when you see people...
Not that you're old, I'm just saying it.
I look at my mum and, you kind of get to a point where you've run around, chase things, want things, realise, it doesn't matter, you could be anywhere. Like you're at, is that place going to make you happy? Or you've got to be happy wherever you are. And it's nice to have, go to restaurants or travel or whatever. But actually, I think sometimes just keeping things simple is what's going to make you happier.
And when things are all a bit crazy in your life, did your mum try and kind of pull you back and say it's all getting out of control, having come from this quite bohemian life? I'm just interested.
I think so. I think, when I witness it now, I see that it doesn't bring people happiness. And I think if you're an outsider, you think, well, actually keep things simple. You don't. Why do you want more? Why are you chasing that? Just concentrate on the things that are close to you, which, obviously is, a lot of the time your children. I just went to see my sister in Sweden who lives in a beautiful kind of cabin in the countryside. And, they make simple. They make their own bread every day. They make their own yogurt. They cook. They're bringing up this baby in the most perfect way. And I look at it and I'm like, I think seeing that and seeing how content she is, I think, God, I wish I could have had it a bit more like that. But of course, I was having my children when my career was kind of at its height, where there was a huge kind of cultural explosion in London around all of that stuff, and life was very fast. So I've learned to slow down, and it's really a great place to be, I think.
You were talking about your children. I mean, this next charm, charm 2, is a cherub. Actually, weirdly, I have a cherub in our collection, so I know exactly how to do this, a kind of Botticelli style cherub, 2-dimensional, really like a medallion with this perfect looking angel in the middle, diamond surround, and then on the back, polished. And I really thought we could put the dates of your children's birthdays. So you got 4 children. Finley, who I think is 31, and Rafferty, who's 25, Iris, 21, and Rudy, 19.
That's right.
So I thought we could put all their dates of their birthdays. Nice. Because I presume that's why you've chosen a cherub.
I think as well when they're like toddlers and they're kind of at that really angelic, chunky cheeks. And Raf and Rudy both had this blonde ringlety hair. So they did look like cherubs. And nothing can ever kind of exceed the happiness and joy that they have given me, and I guess most mothers, parents.
Which you've got no idea until you actually have one.
Yeah.
So you were quite young when you had your first child. How old were you?
I think I was around 24, 25 when I had Finn. It didn't seem young then. And I remember it didn't seem young because my mum had me at 16. And then now a lot of my friends are not having babies till they're 40. So... I'd finished having 4 children at 36, so it is young compared to
what's happening.
What's happening now.
Yeah, no, completely. So I'm so interested in how, because as you described, you had this kind of slightly bohemian upbringing on a bus, and how did that influence how you brought up your children? Because as you said, your career was just kicking off as you had your eldest son. I
think for me, what my parents told me was it was all about community, helping people. My dad also worked as a community worker, and he just used to help people. And my mum we never locked the front door. It was always open for everybody. And when I was bringing my kids, that was what I never had a kind of straight, 2 parents, the children, shutting the door. It was always at an open house. Everyone would be in and everyone could talk about their problems and everyone was welcome. I think everything I learned from my parents was just to give love, and I gave that to my kids. And I think that's what makes them kind, interesting people. Yeah, they're creative and they work and they're real go-getters, because I never handed anything to them on a plate because, even though it seems like you're in an industry and you're in the public eye that things are kind of rosy, I had to go out to work and kind of juggle a few jobs and kind of be a working mum. So they've kind of known about drive, and they've known that they've had to make things happen for themselves as well,
Yeah.
So I said to my kids, just whatever you want to do, just engage and do it, and always on the way, whatever you're doing, be thoughtful and kind to other people.
But it must have been hard for them because, they were brought up in quite a fast set around them and your friends and so on. So did they find that difficult? It's quite hard to be, hard to be grounded too if you're surrounded by all that excitement and parties.
Yeah, I think they always just say that it just, and I can't speak for them, but they always say that things seemed quite, normal, like that we'd always sit down for dinner at 5. We'd always have breakfast together. I'd always take them to school. We were pretty consistent. I kind of didn't work so much when they were little because I didn't want to go on location, so I stopped my acting career.
Oh, you stopped it completely?
Yeah, I thought, you can't have both parents off and about and one parent had to be at home. So that's why I kind of did my fashion company, do little roles, voiceovers. But my children came first, and yes, I needed to work and make money, but they, whatever they were doing, I kind of, needed to be some consistency. They just seem like very happy kids, and but Finn's dad and Raf, Rudy, and Iris's dad, they're great dads too, and they all, I think we just did the best we could. And I think as long as you're keeping it consistent and they're grounded, then they grow up, and they deal with things.
Yeah. And you must be so proud of Iris. I think she's on the cover of Vogue, isn't she? Is she Hong Kong Vogue?
She's on the cover of Hong Kong Vogue and doing really well. They're all doing really well. And it's nice because 3 boys and 1 girl, my little princess and my best friend, and I adore them all. They're all equally brilliant. But no, she's doing really well. And
how did you feel about her being a model? And I know she's acting too.
Yeah, and she's she's been at St Martin's studying textiles. She's a very driven person. She really is focused on so many things. And I think that the whole side of modelling, of kind of socialising, going out and being part of a scene, she's so not involved in any of that. She just does her work. She's professional and is really into like her fashion kind of designing and other things and working with different charities. So she's kind of using what she does to bring awareness. Also, she's very focused on her acting. So it's like any career, it evolves, and she seems to be going in the right direction to me.
It's quite, we're not taught to be parents, are we? It's all quite scary, kind of make it up as you go along.
You just hope that you want to, you hope that you've done the right thing, and, and you've got to be there to help them every step of the way, which, I think I've been.
Your next charm, which is your 3rd charm, is a little tiny, you said sparkly bra or pair of knickers. So I actually thought, I'm going to draw both, actually. So I totally see this as the little bra all in pink, really girly, pink sapphires, and moving yellow gold straps. I thought matching knickers with French Frost written on the back, because I think that's...
Frost French.
Sorry. I've even written it Frost French.
Oh, yeah.
But also just perfect pair of knickers with little bow on the front and polished yellow gold inside. So, they really are 3-dimensional and lovely. Tell me about these, the bra and knickers, and tell me what that represents.
Yeah, when Raf was little and I decided not to be acting so much, and it would have been 25 years ago, me and my best friend Jemima French, who we'd grown up together, formed Frost French, and we designed underwear. We sold all over the world, and we had our own stores. And
you had your own stores?
Well, we had like a store in Camden Passage, one on the King's Road, one near Carnaby Street, we sold to Liberties and Seagulls, and it was really good. And our shows were very successful. We did a thing called Smelly Pants, where they smell of like
scratch and sniff.
Yeah, scratch and sniff, but honey and baby powder. And then we had ones that we did the one called the Night Owl that made a noise of an owl when you were going to bed, and then we had the cat nap noise, so it meowed.
That is hilarious.
So we just did all these kind of wonderful things. I mean, now I'm designing my own yoga brand called Frost Body, but I think that, the knickers and the bra just represent design and femininity and creativity.
Did you decide to do this because you couldn't find gorgeous, girly, sexy underwear, or was it?
Yeah, I think in those days it was very difficult to get.
So hold on, when are we're in kind of 99?
90. Well, Raph was born in 96, so and that's when we did.
You started then.
And in those days we started off doing tie-dyed and we were dyeing them in Jemima's garden. So we just wanted to have things that told story. I mean, I guess I've always, whatever I'm doing, I want to tell a story. And I think with the underwear and the clothes and the fashion, we designed things that told stories and had a kind of original concept. And there it was very difficult to do or to find original things. So we kind of started off small, and it grew and grew and grew until it did go. We started designing for Debenhams. So, and then that became mass, and it was quite interesting at the time, doing something, getting out there, and was a successful brand called at that time Floozy. So I still love designing, and even though film is my and now directing documentaries is my main profession, I still design on the side because I think it's good to have different outlets.
Well, I mean, when I arrived, you were busy putting mood boards together. So clearly, it's absolutely part innate.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Actually, one thing I was going to ask you is in terms of brand awareness, I guess you had lots of people who went from Kate Moss to Leah Wood to all of those amazing people to kind of help get awareness, etc. And I suppose they were kind of the influencers of that period. Long before.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have social media. You didn't just kind of photograph something, put it on Instagram. You had to think of a proper strategy. We did a play at the Duke of York Theatre. We did lots of interesting installations. But I think it's very difficult to have brand awareness now because there's so many brands and there's so much competition. So even if you've got people supporting you now, or if I've got influencers wearing Frost Body, which is great, and we've got a lot of support, it's harder to get noticed.
Have a voice.
And also with marketing and ads on social media. And those ads on social media are the things that are like hugely expensive. So to get a brand to the next level, you need to have quite a lot of money behind you.
Yeah, no, it's a whole different world. What happened to it anyway in the end, Frost French?
So Frost French, we had some investors. It was just before the crash, 2007, I think, and then they pulled out, and we had all the shops at that point. So I brought the name back, and me and Jemima were doing kind of smaller projects, but we were kind of doing well with designers at Debenhams, and it was great to be alongside Betty Jackson, Jasper Conran, Ben DeLisi. We were like an amazing kind of group of people, like a team, and we'd all do these like lunches and dinners, and we did pajamas and swimwear, and we had another brand called Iris and Edie. So that took up a lot of our time, and then that obviously finished when Debenhams finished. So
this was a natural break,
a natural thing, and then everything is cyclical, and you has its time, and the whole thing about business is you build it, and then you have to be ready to let it go, and it's not really about the kind of final result; it's about the journey and what you're doing on the way.
That's so interesting because it could be like it's your kind of fifth child. It's like letting go of business.
I mean, I think the thing is as well, like in relationships, you kind of feel like works out who you are, or you and all that kind of stuff. But it isn't about the actual person or the end result of the relationship. It's everything you learn about yourself on the way. So a relationship isn't about the other person. It's about how you learn about yourself. And, if I think about the main relationships I've had in my life, and I'm not looking at any of them as failures, each thing has shown me what I want in life and what I don't want in life. So I am now a person who I feel who is at peace with myself, which I might not have been when I was younger because of the relationships. Sometimes a person who I might have been seeing or dating or married to, thinking, well, actually, no, that's what you want to do. And that is definitely not what I want to do. And I finally really understand what I want to do. And the same is with business, like work and everything. You know, I think you get to a stage, and if you can do, you know, you can really appreciate, you know, I know that I'm not going to date that kind of person. I know I'm not going to take that kind of job. And actually, you know, maybe not rushing into things. And time is the most precious thing right now. So it's all about that for me, is really making the right choices.
So I'm really interested to know about your next charm, which is an avocado, which was like, really, an avocado?
Yeah, I don't know why I chose that. I was like, I must have been hungry that day. I was just trying to find something that represented what is one of my biggest passions, and that is being a vegetarian. And I've been a lifelong vegetarian. I've never eaten meat and fish. I find it really weird when people...
Never
eaten it. And
not at her, none of you? None of you?
No. Well, my mum is vegetarian, and me, Jade and Holly are vegetarian. The two other sisters do eat meat, but in my house there's never been meat or fish. My children are all vegetarian apart from Rudy. And you can't force someone to be vegetarian, and but I live as a vegetarian. It's what I've chosen. I don't understand it when people eat meat or fish. Never have. Obviously, it's very topical now. A lot of people have stopped, and it's very, veganism, vegetarianism is on the rise, which is fantastic. For me, it's been the reason I'm vegetarian is, one, I don't believe in making any animal suffer. For the environment, the taste is revolting to me. Like, not that I've ever tasted it, but my mum said when she gave it to me as a baby, so she said she used to give me meat or fish, like, try. And
try everything.
1 year old or something, and I would just freak out. And then she always says this story that I would walk past the butcher, and we lived in Primrose Hill as well in the 60s, and I would go and I wouldn't want to walk past it. I would have to cross the road. It's something that I find incredibly repulsive. So I was trying to get something that represented, just kind of, what I believe in, which is something that's nutritious, wholesome, and plant-based. And I was thinking, would a bit of broccoli look good, or a carrot? And I was thinking, no, actually, probably you could make an avocado look quite beautiful.
No, because the avocado are going to make the avocado really beautiful. So I've drawn it as half an avocado, 3-dimensional, but yellow gold, and kind of slightly hammered yellow gold for the skin. So all those kind of dimples on the skin. And then pale green pave peridot on the inside to represent that lovely pale green, and a brown diamond for the stone. You want to be able to see the stone, and a lovely moving leaf on the stem. So I think you're right. It's more beautiful than a broad piece of broccoli.
I think there's something quite nice about an egg shape as well, like a kind of that little teardrop hair.
Really
tactile, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, I think I try to think of things that were really have defined me and have core beliefs, and vegetarianism for me is one of my strongest beliefs.
So what's your kind of go-to vegetarian meal? What will you cook when the kids are coming home? What will you...
I eat a lot of stews, lentil stew, mung bean stew, a lot of tomato-based things. Protein, I would have a tofu steak. I make a lot of protein smoothies with coconut milk and coconut yogurt. I mean, there's so many amazing things,
Now,
but back in the 70s when I was, at school, I'd go to school, there wouldn't be a vegetarian option. I'd have a mashed potato sandwich with peas mushed up in them.
Yeah.
And there was one vegetarian health food shop in the whole of North London. But my stepfather was a Bhagwan Rajneesh, which is the people that are dressed in orange. And so we used to eat a lot of, he was vegetarian, so that was helpful.
How old were you when your mother was married?
11, but she turned vegetarian, pretty early on.
Right. Do you like cooking?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I found it, I really appreciate cooking now, and I love this kitchen where I am because it's just like everything's all together.
Well, I love the fact that we're sitting here, but we can, if you're in the kitchen, we can chat.
It's very unintimidating. Kitchens can be very masculine, and I wanted it to be feminine and just full of kind of, it's minimalistic as well and earthy. But no, I love cooking here, and I've been cooking a lot more since I've lived in this house. My kids always used to tease me for they said I didn't really cook because I don't really like raw food. So they just said, "Mum, you're not a good cook, you're a good chopper." And, I just used to chop up a little poke bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, you've got your nutrition, it's pretty delicious. Yeah. But at the moment, I think I'm having more time to cook and things because I'm trying to free up my time a bit so I can do things that I really, like gardening and like cooking and spending more time with the kids and my dog, being creative or whatever, rather than filling my life up with stuff that actually, what is it?
Has lockdown kind of exacerbated the kind of desire to do that?
I think I was really ready. I'd always in my head said at this stage of my life it was going to be, when Rudy finished sixth form college, there was going to be this kind of, my life would have a shift. And it was actually harder because of lockdown, because you can't make the choices that you want to make because of travel. If I wanted to go and live in India for 6 months or whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to have a feeling of a bit of freedom, but it's been very hard to be in a freeing environment. So I think slowly things are going to change now, and we're all going to be able to make more choices. So,
were you in this house for lockdown?
No, I moved 5 months ago.
And any children living with you?
2 of them. I've got Rudy and Raph, which is lovely.
So you're still having to cook and do a bit of
I love
mummy.
It. I love it. I love being mummy. I don't know what I'm going to do when they go.
Well, I think you've got. We're going to talk about it, but you've got plenty going on. You're not going to be short of things to do, are you? Your 5th charm is Cherry.
Is Cherry.
Is Cherry the sausage dog?
Yeah. So my ex-boyfriend bought me her for my birthday a couple of years ago, and we do everything together. She comes
inseparable.
Yeah, inseparable. And I've got a little papoose. She comes around with papoose. I take her to the cinema. We go on road trips together. We went, just the 2 of us, on a road trip last year, just on trains and ferries, and you're just keeping it like...
Yeah, for people who are listening, Cherry is a mini dachshund.
Yeah.
She is a little mini, very, very feminine little mini dachshund. And as a charm, I just love those cushions that dogs that are very precious to people sit on. I'm not suggesting that, but I love the idea of her sitting on a kind of little carnelian cushion. She's in white gold but black rhodium, 3D, just sitting, looking up, looking at you with her. I think she'll have a kind of pink. I can see she's got a pink collar, so I thought she could have a pink sapphire collar, and she'd be really adorable. And on the bottom of the cushion, could have her name engraved. It's so weird that everyone that ever done this podcast, they never talk about their cat, and you've got a cat.
I've got a cat. So the cat came before the dog, and so I had Earl Grey, who is kind of just a mongrel cat, but looks like a British Blue. And all my animals are always a bit weird. Like the dogs always think they're cats, well, the cats always think they're dogs. And I used to, in my old house, I had Grey the cat, and I had 2 Bichon Frises, and there was a couple of birds that just lived on the balcony. And it was funny because they all just lived like really harmoniously. And I used to think I was Snow White, and I used to sing the Snow White song in the morning because they were all just like, why is the cat just so nice to the bird, And it just seemed like it just felt like a little wildlife, Dr. Dolittle wildlife scene. But Grey's a real character, and so the cat is bigger than the dog, which is quite funny.
About double the size of the dog.
Yeah, double the size.
Anyway, I'm hoping she's going to stay there because I'm not wild
You don't
about
let
cat.
the cat
I'm a bit
bite
scared.
you.
Oh,
Come on, Grey.
No, definitely don't like cats.
Come on.
The cat's now approaching.
Yes, he's going to jump in.
Okay, we'll move on. I hope she gets the hint. So then, I love this charm. So this is a very specific, you said old-fashioned film camera. So I kind of visualise it as a Leica.
Yeah.
White gold. I've done it as a locket because I really like my charms to move and do the things you expect them to do. And where the leather would be, I've done it as kind of black pavé diamonds and a little ruby for where the flash goes off. The lens actually turns as well. So, it could have a little photograph inside. It could have
that'd be nice.
Really sweet inside. But talk to me about this camera.
I think a camera represents a lot of things for me. I think, you know, I was in front of the camera from an early age, from 3, 4, well, two when David Bailey took some pictures of me when we lived across the road when I was a kid. And then, you know, modelling as a kid and acting as a kid. Then went on to, you know, being behind the camera. Later on, like now, directing Quant and stuff. But, you know, whether it's photography or filming or me doing a film course myself. So
you've recently gone back and done a film course.
Yeah, so I did an MA at Stafford University in film production. I just did a documentary filmmaking course. I've always done photography courses. I like taking pictures. Shot Raffi for the cover of Wonderland and the Valentino campaign. So it kind of it's interesting and intriguing to do both sides, to be photographed, but less and less, to tell you the truth. I'd rather be taking the photographs, and I love the fact, you know, now going into my next documentary, which we'll be announcing soon, but it hasn't been announced yet. So
you don't want to tell us now.
I'm not allowed to tell you. And then so I'm in prep for that now, but it's all really exciting, and it just feels so exciting that at you know, this age I'm doing something I thoroughly enjoy, and I'm going into directing documentaries.
Yes. I mean, so tell me about the Mary Quant documentary. How did it come about?
So I'd worked with a company called Goldfinch. I'd acted in a project of theirs, and we co-wrote a couple of films. And then Kirsty Bell, who is the CEO, came to me and was like, I think you could direct. And she gave me this opportunity to direct Quant. And at first I was like, this is going to be overwhelming and I'm a bit out of my league. I have no idea where to start. But I threw myself at the project, and did loads of prep. And even though we were going through the pandemic and lockdown and all kinds of problems happened, I just persevered, and it got into the London Film Festival. And it was out in cinemas in October, November.
But in fact, you've had amazing reviews. It's
been really good.
Fantastic reviews. But was she a kind of heroine of yours? Was she? Because, I mean, I guess 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I think my mum was very, you know, she was inspired by Mary Quant. She made all her own clothes herself. And my mum would take me down to her shops, and she would dress me in Mary Quant clothes, and she would wear them. So I knew of Mary Quant from a very early age. I was aware of fashion from a very early age because my mum used to dress us all very differently. I felt like I didn't really know much about her life and the story, but when I actually read the book and went to the exhibition and started talking to her friends, I realised I actually felt like I did know her. It was like instilled in me with subconsciously. So it just felt like, I was the right person to make the documentary. One, being a woman, I think it's great if you're a woman to direct something on a woman. And I found her story so interesting, and getting to know her son Orlando and all her friends, and it was just so nice to have such great feedback from the family and friends. You know, that's what you're always nervous about, that people are going to be like, well, you didn't tell the right story, or you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. But I didn't get any of that, so it was so fulfilling.
And you never got to speak to her?
No, because there was a meeting set up, and then COVID happened, and you know, so that would have been a huge risk. And she did see the film, and I got nice messages back, but.
No, absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it, but looking forward to hearing the next documentary, what it is.
Yes, you'll be very excited.
Is it as exciting as this one? Wonderful. Okay, so your last charm 7, is you've described it as a hollow triangle. So I've done just that. I've made it in white gold. Well, you're going to tell me in a minute what each of these stones represents. But I've put, for a green stone, a Savarite in one corner, and an amethyst in the other, and a pink sapphire in the other one. And exactly as you described it, so you'll be able to put your finger through it, and it's a perfect triangle. But what does that represent for you?
A triangle is just a very simple kind of spiritual symbol about growth, about unity. And, you know, I've always done a meditation where you imagine yourself in a triangle, and it's all about triangles. It's a very magical thing. I got me and my son, Raf, both got a triangle tattooed here.
Oh, yeah, look, right on the forearm.
It's just a symbol of strength and unity. And also my new Frost Body yoga stuff has a triangle on it, and also all the the clothes have little triangles in them, so you could, like the straps and the angles. So sometimes the most simple things are the strongest and the most give you the most strength. And I just do get a lot of strength from it. And I think even with this triangle on my arm, knowing that I've got it and knowing Raf's got it.
Balance, isn't it? It's perfect balance.
Yeah, the
a
perfect
triangle.
balance.
Yeah.
You know, going back to kind of what we said earlier about not wanting so much. I mean, I did get, you know, jewellery is lovely when, you know, your mum buys you something or your daughter buys you something or your partner. But I mean, I've never been, and I've had a lot of really lovely pieces. I've also had a lot of stuff lost and a lot of stuff stolen. And after like having things stolen, and often not through a burglary, it has been somebody I must have known, I just learned that actual kind of possessions and materialistic things didn't make me happy, and you have to learn to kind of let go of them. I've got, you know, pieces that people have given me and I treasure them because of the person who's given it to me, but it is more about, you know, symbolism and what something means. So what's interesting about what you're doing now is it isn't just like a status symbol of like, oh, look, I've got an amazing diamond and I've got this and I've got that. They're things that like really mean something and matter. And this whole kind of these 7 charms will basically kind of symbolizes my life, you know. And I think that's nice. And I think rather than have jewelry for the sake of it, to have something that means something is nice.
Because you're so right, because for me, jewellery is all about the narrative. It's all about the stories. Actually, that brings me very neatly on to asking you. So these 7 charms, once when you're no longer around and maybe your grandchildren find these charms or find these drawings, what kind of legacy, what do you want them to kind of remember you for, or even if they haven't known you, what would you like them to kind of take away?
I think for me, and looking at my grandmother and looking at how my kids relate to my mum as their grandmother, is I think it's so nice for to be loved because you're a kind, loving, giving person, and that's why I'm so looking forward to being a grandmother. Is like I love children and I love giving, and I would love my grandchildren to think, you know, that they had an amazing time with me. And I think that is about giving them time. And I think, you know, I spend a lot of time now, if I just take time off work and I am with my nieces or visiting my sister's new baby in Sweden. So I think it's very important for me to give time and to do like really fun things. And I think that's what keeps you young, you know, whether you're getting into your 60s, 70s, whatever, you can still be doing the most amazing things, but it's just giving time and adventure.
Well, it's so that kind of intergenerational thing, one learns so much from each other, don't you? You learn so much.
100%. And you know, I just went to a dance class and my son was coming as I was leaving, and, you know, we're going to do one together. And it's like about why can't we have the same interests? Why can't we do the same things? And, you know, I'm not prepared to kind of be kind of pigeonholed to kind of grow old and kind of get stuck in a certain way. It is about getting out there. I love walking, I love adventure, I love dancing, and embracing nature and animals, and children. So I mean, that is what makes me happy. And I guess, yeah, age tells you that, and also the last few years has told us we've all learned what makes us happy.
Yes, yeah, ultimately family and all the things you've spoken about. Sadie, thank you so much. I've got one final question. As you know, just as a thank you, I'd like to make one of these charms for you. So I'd love to know which charm you'd like me to make.
It's very difficult, isn't it? I think, I don't know, I kind of think like I think the dance is the most kind of unique.
Yeah,
might look good as well with a simple black dress if it's black and it looks a bit like, could be Liza Minnelli but could be me. So it's either that. I think I'm kind of thinking of like all of them mean something, obviously, so it's very hard to choose. But I think the thing that I would look maybe the most unique on me and sit kind of daintily would be the dancer. The dancer. What do you think?
I'm always fascinated to know what my guests are going to choose.
I mean, it's like, do I want to have an avocado on my neck? or a sausage dog.
No, I wasn't trying. I would love to make you the dancer. I always thought you might have chosen the triangle, actually.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I know. So I'm a Gemini. I'm weighing up the two things. Let me meditate on it.
Okay, so it's either the dancer or the triangle. To be continued.
To be continued.
But thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure
Thank you.
to talk to you.
Really enjoyed it. I hope the dog and the cat didn't harass you too much.
Thank you so much for listening to My Life in 7 Charms with me, Anushka Dukas. If you would like to see all of the charms and illustrations that I've made for my guests, please go to my website, anushka.com. If you have enjoyed this podcast, I would be so grateful if you could rate and review and subscribe, and also share with your friends. It would be such a help. Thank you so much to my producer, Robin at Fairley Media. See you soon.